Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World, how you guys doing? So, this is an update on the Bundy Ranch occupation story, which if you remember right, about a year ago, a bunch of, crazy sovereign citizen types went up and took over a federal wildlife refuge and held it for 6 weeks or something like that, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage to it, tearing down fences, things like that, illegally poaching. And it was all a, seemingly a protest against federal land, and it's, and it resulted in this standoff that went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and one person was actually killed when the FBI and the police finally decided to move in and arrest them all. And it was, his name was Lavoy Finicum. He's the guy that ended up, dead because of this. So if you haven't heard, Ammon Bundy and his brother, Ryan Bundy, and 5 others have been acquitted of all charges. Well, almost all charges. They've been acquitted of the basically, federal weapons charges, and it's like they're fucking getting off. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. So if you don't know what's going on, they didn't deny that they occupied the facility because they couldn't, because they have the shit on video, right? Which is, it's obvious that they fucking did it, but the prosecutors couldn't prove, right, that the group engaged in a conspiracy to keep fish and wildlife workers from actually doing their jobs, which is absolutely fucking bugnut crazy. The reason why it's crazy is because if you hadn't followed the story, they threatened to kill anybody that went up there. I mean, these guys went in with assault rifles and guns and things, took over this fucking wildlife reserve, right? Threatened to kill any police or federal workers that went there. Okay, so to say that they couldn't prove that they couldn't do their jobs is absolutely ridiculous. It's basically the defense managed to spin this so that it looked like a legitimate act of protest, which it wasn't, okay? It was a fucking armed occupation by domestic terrorists. That's what this was, all right? Normal protesters don't, there's a difference between the kind of protesting that BLM does, or the people at the Standing Rock thing where they're protesting the oil pipeline, right? Or any other hundreds and hundreds of peaceful protests out there that happen all the time. And then a bunch of armed occupiers with guns going in, taking over a building and threatening to shoot anyone that comes close. It's not even funny. And here's the thing is that, these people, these Bundy guys are because I was actually kind of following this story, right? They're like sovereign citizen types, all right? The one guy, Ryan Bundy, the dude that got kicked in the face by a mule or whatever, and half of his face is paralyzed, looks like fucking Cletus and shit. Like, that guy declared himself a legal idiot, right? He made a court filing saying that the laws of the federal government don't apply to him, okay? And even after all of this ridiculous fuckery, they still managed to get off. It just blows me away. And a lot of people out there have been saying, and I agree with them, that this is an example this is an example of white privilege, and that's absolutely fucking true. Because if these people, if they were black and they went and they took over a building and they were armed to the teeth like these assholes were, they'd be dead. Okay, that's what would have happened. All right, it's the reason is precisely because the FBI treated them with kid gloves is why they got off. Part of the thing that got cited was that, well, the FBI allowed them freedom of movement and allowed them to get food and mail and shit like that, so obviously they weren't dangerous. Well, dude, what the fuck? It's because they were fucking white. I mean, that's really the only explanation that, because that was something that we all criticized them for. Why didn't they surround him and block off access to the compound and anything? No, they just kind of let him hang out there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then finally went up and did something about it once everybody started complaining. It's like, it blows me away. It blows me away how badly that this was handled. And now these people are getting away with it, and it's just going to embolden them. And now they're going to go and they're going to take over another fucking place, and more people are going to die, right? And it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you compare like how the reaction against the Indian like protesters at Standing Rock or whatever, the oil pipeline, right? I don't know if you've been following that story, but those people are like being attacked by attack dogs, right? They're being like thrown in jail, like they're getting arrested and being shipped off to different parts of the state. So they don't just go to like the local jail and they get processed and released. They get like shipped like 200 miles to this city and 300 miles to that city and shit like that. Like if you just compare how that's being handled by the authorities versus this thing, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's like, why? I'll tell you why. Because these people were white, number one. Number two, because they had guns. Okay, let's not pussyfoot around the bush or whatever. They were armed, right? And a confrontation with them would have ended up with people getting killed. And while I, commend the FBI and the authorities for not, like causing another Waco type situation, because that's what they were avoiding. They were trying to avoid it turning into a complete bloodbath, right? Let's still understand that there are steps that they should have taken. They should have surrounded that place. They should have allowed no one in, no one out, and starved them out, and then or whatever, right? Instead, they just basically let them go for weeks and weeks on end, right? People were sending them dildos. I mean, they were getting mail, right? And it's no fucking wonder that a jury goes, well, they obviously weren't dangerous. It just blows me the fuck away. It blows me away, and it really shows that there really is differences in how the law treats you depending on the color of your skin. That's what it is, I mean, one of these days it's gonna happen. One of these days, like some protesters who aren't white are gonna try some shit like this, right? And they're all gonna get fucking murdered. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna try to some group of non-white protesters for whatever cause is gonna get they're gonna see that, hey, these guys went and did it and got away with it, and they're gonna go and do an armed occupation, and they're all gonna get massacred, right? And when that happens, no one will draw a comparison, not in the media. The media will not draw a comparison between that event and this event, because because of white privilege. It's fucking an absolute joke, and it just emboldened them. So now, these fucking sovereign citizen assholes are like, charged, and it's just gonna happen again. Just watch what happens, man. It's an absolute fucking travesty of justice. Anyway, adios, folks.